Welcome everyone to last in this season actually. My last track guide, and it's been a pretty good season this season. We've pushed ourselves. We managed to get two out a week, which is pretty good, and we hit over that 1,000 subs. So yeah, what a season for me. So appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching these as always, and thank you for subbing along. Anyway, more importantly, we are at a hell of a track this week at the Nordschleife, the full circuit, which is quite insane. As you can see, the car does bottom out every now and then, so always fun. It's one of these circuits where normally the qualifying is actually in a different session, and normally you get a one-shot go at it. So just have a double check. It might be on the actual session where you get one lap, or it might be in a session separate. Have a look at the schedule. It will be there nice and clear. Otherwise, let's crack on with this. We don't want to see the camera shot. We want to see the info. So track temp 68 Fahrenheit and track usage of a 45%. Now, person on Reddit mentioned about track temperature. Obviously, it can increase time being the cooler the track. And so I did have a look back, and every single race that I looked at was 78 Fahrenheit, which is a little bit warmer. So just have a double check yourself. If it's not this low, then it could be that the lap time is a little bit difficult to obtain, because it will be a more slippery track. If it's cooler than this, brilliant, you should be able to go faster. Laps I'm going to show you plenty of failures of spinning off here, hitting the barriers. It does happen a lot, plenty of off tracks as well. I think there's 157 corners or something daft like that. So yeah, losing control and getting an off track comes quite often around here. And yeah, so game of survival definitely this week. My fastest is a 6:22.588, and that was on the lap 8. So yeah, it should be all golden. As I say, everything, I don't believe I have telemetry for this, annoyingly, but I have the O lap and the B lap, and the replay file will all be in my Discord, so come over to say hello over there. Otherwise, let's crack on with the guide. Right then, Nordschleife, and this place is absolutely nuts. So let's begin with turn 1. Just the barrier change there. When you're coming out of pits, brake easy. It's uphill and then downhill. Second gear, nice and easy this corner. We're starting on a very long lap. Don't want to ruin it on lap 1. You see I'm half throttle there. That side don't run wide and beat you on the curb. You'll get a sense of avoid many curves around here. Fast forward now, that kink there is flat out. Cold tyres, be a bit cautious through it. Graffiti, you will find a lot of graffiti around the track, and they are fantastic brake markers. Nice and easy on brakes, because we want to turn the car in as well. Down to third gear, give the curb a little cheeky tickle on the way through, and we're back up to full throttle. Coming to the next very similar corner, just opposite ways round. First left is easy again, and just before the end of the graffiti, you're braking. Just ease this one to maximize this left-hander here. Bit of oversteer there, and I hit the curb. Try and avoid the curbs as best you can. Again, very similar set of corners here, sort of a right, left, right, and we'll brake in nice and easy. End of the thing again. Avoid the curb and get a really good exit. The track does nip back, but you want to get a good run into the cambered bit here. Long full throttle zone now, and we basically are going to be standing on the throttle. Be prepared to do this a lot around here. Some of the corners are absolutely brilliant. This little kink up here, again, be cautious on cold tyres. You can get around it quite easily. There's a lovely dip on both of these just on the apex, so use that to rotate the car nicely. Again, full throttle. We haven't even thought about lifting. This is so long. This is downhill. We should be maxing it up. Slipstream will be horrendous through here, so just be careful of who's around and watch around you. Using the 5km board as our turning point. Again, this is absolutely flat, but again, cold tyres, be cautious. Get a little hint of oversteer just over the crest there, so be warned. Just after the tarmac change now, we are braking very easy. Now, be cautious. You've just spent a lot of time doing about 150 miles an hour, so sense of speed. Just take things easy through here. You want to run this track probably about 80% pushing. Most tracks are about 90-95. This track, you really want to rein it in. Again, got another relatively short, considering the circuit, full throttle zone now. Down the hills, just weaving in and out of corners, missing curbs, avoiding any damage, and minimising the track distance. We're hunting for the sign that's got a motorbike on it just on the right-hand side there, and we're taking this corner with a lift. You can clip that curb, doesn't unsettle the car too much, and brake in a straight line to this apex. Again, we've gone very fast, so take it nice and easy. Slowest corner on the track now, brake in a straight line. Nice and easy on this left-hander, miss the curb, and avoid this curb as well on the right. It is huge. I do give it a little cheeky rub, try and avoid it the best you can. You can use this one to straighten the car up, but guess what? We're full throttle again. So all we're doing again, as we've always done, minimize steering input, minimize curves for damage, things like that. This little kink is okay. This one here is easily full throttle, but at the tarmac change, you can have a slight lift, as I do here. Miss the curb as always. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but this track is so long. Dirt patch here on the right hand side. You want to brake in a nice straight line. You can brake a bit heavier this one. Third gear. We get a snap of oversteer again, so be cautious of that one, but full throttle as soon as we can. Again, another downhill braking zone. We're using the board with the motorbike on it. Again, nice and smooth on brakes. Easy to lock up and go straight on into the barrier. I avoid the curve until the very last point here, and even then I avoid it. Again, they're huge. Avoid them. Damage. We don't need it. Pretty of a bit of a blurst of full throttle. Little lift through that little kink here, and now we're at miss, hit, miss. End of the curbing on the left-hand side. That's where we want to just touch the brakes, just control the car a little bit. I generally stay tight to all of them if I can, or miss all of them. If I get around it, it's a success really. Now this one here, I do brake massively early. Not really a braking point here, but the amount of times I've lost it into this is insane. Look how little I'm braking. I increase it as the car's in a straight line, but going around the corner very, very gently. Again, really slow and get a nice smooth exit here. Easy on the power. This thing can face backwards quite easily, and you don't want to do that considering how close the barriers are. Coming into a very similar corner complex, but this one's a bit nicer as it's a bit bigger. So, end of the red and white curbing, you can see here, we're braking just before it, down into third gear, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. Again, I missed the apex curb, don't want to get anywhere near it, and avoid the exit because it can bottom out the car. My favourite corner ever. End of the curbing on the left hand side, slight brake, turn it in. It's lovely and cambered, and you can very easily lose it on exit, as I did a few times. It's a really encouraging corner, that, because you can throw it in, it does stick, but the moment you do 1 or 2% more than that, you fly out and you've hit barriers. So another full throttle zone that I forgot to speed up, so you have to deal with me waffling along. So coming into this corner, it's very important this corner to get a good exit. Black sign over there on the right hand side, brake into third gear. Now I apex a little bit too early. You want to probably apex now. You can see the car pushing out wide, and I'm not full throttle. So apex nice and late, get a full throttle, because now we are full throttle for an awful long way. We are full throttle for that long. I've had to break out the 4 times speed, so we are whizzing up the hill. All we're doing again, missing curbs and trying to minimize track as best we can. This little kink here is probably the most difficult on cold tyres, but once they're warmed up, have a slight confidence lift. Start of the curbing on the left hand side, we are preparing for the most famous corner, the carousel. So this is the corner before it. Again, we've gone full throttle for an awful long time. We've gone very, very quickly, so just be conscious of speed here in slower corners. It's very easy to get an overspeed into the corner, run too much and run wide. So carousel is coming up and it is completely blind, so we've got to use our wits. So we actually use this yellow graffiti. It's quite handy. Brake in a straight line to the apex of the corner and down in you go. I use first gear around here, maybe to get some engine braking going, but nice and easy through here. And I try and stay like on the bottom and on the halfway up to avoid bottoming out. Pop out of it and it will sound horrible, but second gear as soon as you can, and then full throttle up to the hill. Again, this is not too long, so we're 200% speed, so we're whizzing up the hill, and you're looking for the curbing on the right hand side, just there. Just a dab of brakes, down a gear as well, and turn it in. Again, vicious curve on the inside, so I miss it by a country mile, and then a slight lift for the second sweeping right-hander. Tends to oversteer on top of the crest there, and talking about top of the crest, that's our next braking zone. Down to third for this one, and I avoid the apex by a country mile. You can get it a bit closer than that, obviously, but again, game of survival around here, so don't be too hard on yourself if you do miss a few apexes. Coming down now for another full throttle zone, and I've left this here because this is lovely and sweeping. This is slight lifts here and there, slight dab of brakes. All you're doing is controlling the car. These are two of the curbs that you can actually smother and absolutely run the living daylights out of them because they are actually flat, so that's the only curves you can touch. Just at the bottom of the dip here, you can see the track going up a little bit. You want to brake third gear. Turn it in again. I want to stay mid-track at this point because we don't want to run wide. The track over the left-hand side pops out a little bit, and we're using the black sign again. Downhill braking, so be very, very gentle and hug the left-hand curve as much as you can. You can bleed out a little bit as the track straightens up, but you want to be about here for the next braking zone. Again, downhill braking, so be very cautious, and you can see that curve is huge, and look how much it makes the radical bounce all over the place, so avoid that the best you can. Use the red and white curbing, but don't go any further. It is an off track. Just before that curb ends, we're braking into third gear again, and just be cheeky on the throttle because it does have a nice wide exit here, but again you can bottom out on that curb and ruin your lap. And again, we're coming into another dip, so we're using it as a nice braking zone. Third gear and gently turn it in. We do actually smother the curb here a little bit. We get on throttle a bit too early. You can see it's really bumpy and bottoms out the car, so you can get away with it, but is it a bit risky? Of course it is. So we're coming through some nice sweeping corners now, and these are brilliant, to be honest. You come in, the track kind of opens up a little bit. You can have a 5-second breather. So coming into this dip, you want to brake after the little jump. You can take a full throttle. Radical's got enough downforce to keep it on the track, but brake afterwards down to 4th gear. Stay nice and close here because you need to stay as far right as you can to take this one flat out in 5th gear, which you can do. You can see we use a bit of the apron there on the right hand side, which is absolutely fine. Again, another sweeping corners, which are absolutely fabulous. Getting up to speed, I mean 145 miles an hour at this point, and this one's pretty blind, so my motto, if you don't know where you're going, is just stay mid-track as best you can. It does pop out and say hello with this place over the crests and dips and humps and everything. It's going to be a game of survival around here. I've said it once, I'll say it again, but yeah, if you can survive, you'll finish well. You're looking for the curbing on the right hand side here, and you're braking, and very smooth, very rewarding corner that to get around in 5th gear. Graffiti again as it ends all the way down to 3rd gear, and you want to be very cautious with this one because this one does not have a lot of runoff, so be very warned about that. Very easy to end up on the grass and then the barrier. Mini carousel now, and you're looking for the yellow graffiti again. This one's 2nd gear, and get in as early you can and don't pop out too early. I normally pop out when the concrete ends because again I don't want to be too far over the right hand side. These little cheeky corners are going to be very, very important because again they're leading onto the massive straight. So just before the end of the red and white curbing, we're lifting, slight brake, turn it in. Don't worry about the first apex. Don't even worry about the second apex. You want to be full throttle from this point. You want to make sure you get this corner flat out. This is the tightest one, and this is the one that catches out a lot of people. So make sure you can take that full throttle. And the lovely long straight, which is that long, we've broken out the 4x speed. So very sorry if you do get motion sickness, but we are flying down here. It's got a slight hill, so you probably will lose some speed. You can see the speed beating off a little bit. Slipstream will be an issue coming up here. Obviously the guys behind will be much faster down there. Coming down here, and if you're going too wide at this point, bail out. Not even worth it. Not even worth it. Survive the race will be king. Before the heart, and you kind of see it too late, so you'll have to get used to it, but break in a straight line at this point and try and get to the far left hand side of the track as you can. This is probably the most cautious bit for me because I've just done all of that lap and I don't want to ruin it on these last few corners. Concrete bit on the left hand side there is a good braking marker. Just a dab of the brakes, 2nd gear. You see I have 2 stabs at the corner there, and then absolutely floor it on the way out, and the line is there somewhere, and we cross it in a 6:22.588. So yes, that is a hell of a lap round here. It is so much fun round here, but you are so close to losing control. Coming down the last sort of half of the track, down the downhill sections where the track open up and they're really sweeping left and right, it feels like you're bordering out of control most of the time. Brilliant circuit. If you take your time, build the speed slowly. You will have to practice this one. It is a huge amount of corners to learn. I think it's 157 technically. So yeah, I wish you luck. Have a good week. This is a fantastic circuit, even if you're just running at the back by yourself. It's very rewarding to get right. As always, OLAP and BLAP and replay files are in the Discord. I don't have telemetry for this. I do apologize. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.